ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ silent.
Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of St. Joseph Engineering College, I, Chaitra UR, Assistant Professor, Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, welcome you all to the 15th webinar hosted by Electronics and Communication Engineering Department of SJEC. Today's webinar is on job and market condition post-COVID-19. We have with us Mr. Dilip Chandra, the speaker. We also have coordinators for this webinar, HOD ECE Department, Dr. Dayakshini, and Ms. Reshma KJ, Assistant Professor, ECE Department. I now request Ms. Reshma KJ to introduce the speaker and welcome the audience.
Good. Very happy to welcome you all for the of ECE Department on job and market condition post-COVID-19. The topic of today's webinar is significantly related to job and market condition post-COVID-19. The COVID-19 pandemic has inflicted great global change economically. Today we have with us Mr. Dilip Chandra, India Talent Acquisition Head HP India, to brief us about COVID-19 impact on industries and the hiring trend with specific reference to India market. Mr. Dilip Chandra is working in HP as the talent acquisition leader for India. He has been in HP for more than 16 years, performing various functions in human resource. He is a native of Mangalore and did his graduation from St. Aloysius College in the year 2000. He completed his Master of Social Work in Human Resource from School of Social Work, Roshnile in 2002. He is a strong advocate for providing a great employee experience with a proven track record in building a strong culture and engagement. On behalf of management of St. Joseph Engineering College, Mangalore, I welcome you, sir. A cordial welcome to Dr. Dayakshini, Associate Professor and Head Department of ENC. Welcome you, madam. Also, I would like to welcome and thank Ms. Chaitra UR, Assistant Professor, Department of EC, for being the moderator of this webinar. A warm welcome to all participants, and I'm sure this webinar will help us to understand the need to look for new growth opportunities that will open for the Indian industry in the post-COVID-19 period.
Thank you, ma'am. We welcome you too. Before we start, I would like to give some instructions to the participants. Mics of all the participants will be muted. Use the chat box or the Q&A for posting any queries. E-certificate will be provided for all the participants who actively participate and fill the feedback form, which will be posted at the end of the session. Recording of the webinar will be available in SJEC YouTube channel in a short time. Now, I request Mr. Dilip Chandra to take over. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. And hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is, as Reshma just mentioned, Dilip Chandra, and I manage the talent acquisition space for India in HP. So, logistic announcement quickly. Network working from home is always a challenge. And sometimes the power goes off, and it needs, for me, it needs 3 minutes to get back to my network. So in case I drop off in between, have patience, give me 3 minutes, and I'll be back on track, and we'll continue the presentation, right? And so all the Q&A questions, I'll try my best. I have tried my best to have as many topics covered as possible from an industry perspective for you to understand. So there's a lot of content here. I'll try to rush in as much as possible, at the same time ensure that you get the essence of the message, and we'll keep 10 minutes at the end for Q&A. Note your questions, and I'll be happy to answer your questions at the end of this session. Okay, so let's move on without much time. I had a short video, but audio is not available, unfortunately. So I'll skip this, and I'll move to my first slide for the day. So the previous video was on megatrends in terms of what's happening in the industrial sector, what's happening in the economy, the world economy, and how the future is looking like. That was a short video, and it's in line with what you're seeing here as well. This is a survey done by Michael Page, and this is a survey from job applicants. And this is what they had to say. 59% are inclined to work overseas in 2020. Surprising, isn't it? 80% believe they will take less than 3 months to find a new job. Less than 3 months, wow, that's really good, compared to 79% in 2019. 76% foresee themselves having better career progression in 2020. Again, 1% more than 2019. 72% are positive about the job market. Slightly lesser, but still a very strong percentage. And when you look at this number, are you getting some doubts? Are you sure that Michael Page did the right survey? Okay, this survey and the mega trends that I wanted to show was done pre-COVID. Early 2020, the survey was done. And if I ask you, has anything changed? Can you just answer, maybe put some comments on the chat window for me to see if you feel anything has changed? And if you feel that something has changed, let me know. Anyone in the chat window? Don't expect me to just keep going on talking. Okay, so I'll continue. You might be doubtful, right, when you look at these numbers. And yes, things have changed post the survey, post COVID-19. Things have changed drastically. And that is what exactly we'll talk about in today's presentation. Yeah. Let me move to my next slide. So what has changed? What has been the impact? I'm not trying to cover, I'm trying to cover the most prominent ones from an industry perspective, from a sector perspective. So when you look at the impact, the overall impact, the big one is on work from home, right? You're studying from home, your lecturers and professors are working from home, and most of us in the organized sector is working from home, right? So that's a big change that has happened in the whole world. Distributed workforce. Now, when you work from home, you can work from anywhere. So there are my own team members who were in Bangalore, they were working from home in Bangalore, now in their hometown. Some are outside of Karnataka, some are in different districts of Karnataka, and they have all moved out. It's a distributed workforce right now we are talking about, and engaging in those workforce becomes paramount for any company. Right, prolonged uncertainty, more than 12 months of prolonged uncertainty we are talking about. No company or organization is taking any long-term decision at the moment. That impacts the whole industry sector itself, the whole organization, the whole economy itself. They're only looking at medium or short-term goals right now, and that's why a lot of not a lot of investments are coming into the market. Right, importance of resilience. You would have seen recently a WhatsApp video or WhatsApp story becoming viral about a bridge that was built in Honolulu on a river, and you know how when the environment changed, how that bridge was a standalone bridge without any end or a start, and though it was marvelous work that the government did, but it was of no use, right? Because the environment changed. So adapting to the change becomes very important. Every organization is looking forward for to be very agile, to be very flexible and quick to adapt to any change or circumstances, right? That's a big impact because of COVID-19. Focus on liquidity. Every company, when there is a crisis happening, has to have a lot of cash in hand. And that is what is happening right now. Because of this, there is no much investment coming in. And because of no much investment coming in, opportunities are lesser. So this, when we look at the whole impact, one side we have this, another we see the sectors that have got impacted. We all know tourism and travel has gone for a toss. Right, nobody is visiting an apparel store, a grocery store to buy. Sorry, not a grocery store, a departmental, big bazaars, and stuff to buy things, right? So because of the fear, right? Nobody is watching movies in theaters. Nobody is buying new cars. Nobody's going to restaurant. So these are all the sectors that have got really badly impacted. While there are sectors which has got impacted badly, there are other sectors which are doing well as well. Online e-commerce industry of your Amazons, your Flipkart. When it comes to essential, that is the go-to place for many of us to buy products and stuff. Right, and even otherwise, e-commerce was always on an uptick and trend towards growth. And this situation has created many opportunities for them. Likewise, we are not going to restaurants. We are spending a lot of groceries and stuff. Of course, there is less of availability because of supply chain issues. But slowly and gradually, you see all the groceries up, and all the shops are doing pretty well. Footfall in drugstore has increased. The pharmaceutical companies are doing pretty well, who are concentrating on current situational medicines and remedies available, right? So that's the change. Looking at some positive changes, but there are a lot of negative changes as well. What I've consciously tried to do here is to bring about and discuss those changes which really impacts you a lot. Those changes which brings opportunities, those changes which brings positivity in this whole scenario. Right, so I just try to gather some future demand drivers, especially in technology space, and this is what those are. Right, so when it comes to technology, you see 5G infrastructures, increased bandwidth, cloud computing. Now that everything is mobile, people are working from home and stuff. These are the future demand drivers which is there. Network security, because of home networks. Earlier, you used to have firewalls when it comes to office network. Now, because of home, that has become very fragile. Huge risk. Cybersecurity has great opportunities here. If you are inclined towards those kind of jobs, that's an opportunity area. Network as well, again, is an opportunity area, because right now it has become more complex. Everybody is logging in from home, and the future looks like people will log in from home permanently, right? So that's again a future demand driver. Medical technology and innovation. When you talk about medical technology, no government or no companies would have thought of investing so much in the past as they are thinking right now in the medical science field, right? So a lot of investment is happening on research and development and innovations and technology in the medical space. So if you have any inclination towards medical technologies and stuff, this is the right time to think. You need to shift your focus there and get in. This is a definite future demand. Your healthcare becomes paramount going forward, irrespective of we coming out of COVID or not. This is something which is going to pick up big time. E-education and e-commerce. We spoke about e-commerce a little. E-education, we are currently doing that, and there are many platforms that has just come out all of a sudden. In 10x or maybe 100x times, the startups that has boomed from nowhere, which talks about e-education system, is on the rise, right? And this is an opportunity. Everybody smells that opportunity. This is changing the culture. This is changing the DNA of how we studied in the past. Plus, the government has brought up a new education policy as well. So it is a win-win for entire education sector, especially the ones which are concentrating on e-education domain. Right, e-commerce is another industry which is definite for sure going to be an uptick. I'll talk more about these things in my coming slides. 3D printing is another industry which is looked at as a supplement to the supply chain woes that we have, and we would want to ensure that instead of a centralized supply chain global market, we decentralize it, and 3D will play a big role in decentralizing these things. Robotic process automation to support non-value adding labor intensive activities. RPA developers, you would have heard about it many a times, right? RPA developers is next big thing that is coming. Every other company is looking at enhancing that technology space, having less human touch, right? So that's another demand driver which is in. Mobile technologies, augmented AR and VR to enable workers to perform tasks they were not trained for earlier with ease. Right now, everything is going to be easily available. These were earlier, having shortage of skilled resources. Now, with these technologies, it is much easier to cover those gaps. use of AGVs, autonomous vehicles, and drones to reduce the dependency on humans and have less of human touch, more of social distancing is also a good demand driver that is kicking in. Many of these technologies and solutions were seen as nice to haves in the past. Many were waiting to cross the chasm of mainstream adoption. Rather than retreating away from them, I think we believe we should now be thinking about how we use these technologies now and in the future. So that is where the whole focus of all the organization out there is coming in when it comes to technology space. And these are just the few of it. I'll talk in detail when I come to the other slides that I have. So this is a good sign for us. I mean, in this situation, rather than looking at those things that has gone down the drain or lost or is struggling, it is important that we look at opportunities right now, how the industry is shifting, how the whole global economy is looking like, and what is in store in the future. And we need to concentrate and invest our time, effort on those things which are coming up as a need in the future, right? So let's talk about hiring trends, and I have certain information that I'll be going to I'll share with you guys in terms of hiring trends, hiring industries, hiring sectors, and I'll talk about what has COVID created or what impact COVID had in these sectors or industry trends, right? But before that, before we get into those trends, it's important we look at how the hiring has been because of this impact, and I'll show you exactly that. This is actually a survey done with around 320 companies across Middle East and Asia. And this is what they had to say. 3 out of 4 organizations see reduction in hiring numbers, right? 2 out of 5 firms look at steep cut of more than 30% compared to projection. So there is cut as well. And it is understood, right? In this current scenario, there is job cuts. You guys are the very unfortunate batch. You can say that 2020 is going to face this situation. But I think there are opportunities as well, which no other batch would have ever seen and had. So that's what we'll have to look at. Now, look at the overall hiring scenario. There are almost, 40% of the companies who have told overall hiring has dropped by 40% at least. That's a challenge when it comes to overall hiring. But the good news is that when you look at graduate hiring numbers, the number is not so much alarming as it was for overall hiring, which means lateral and experience hiring is taken a beating. But graduate hiring, the entry level, the fresher hiring, there are still opportunities. Almost 40% of the companies have told that they have not reduced their numbers, and 7% or 8% has told that they have increased their numbers of hiring graduates. That's a good sign for us to look at, when it comes to fresher hiring. In fact, HP also is witnessing that scenario where not much impact has happened on our graduate intake. In fact, when all companies are looking at saving cost, it's an opportunity to invest on graduates and young millennials and get them on board when the new technology itself is built in the organization and they're working on it, so that there is a long-term engagement. So that's a strategy which is coming up. A few here below, you see a lot of industries that I've called out. I'll talk about in detail as well. You can see most impacted industry and the least impacted industry. This is what substantiates to what I told in terms of how it has impacted the graduate and the senior level hiring. What you see here is the impact for the senior level hiring and the mid level is quite high because of the COVID, and at a junior level you see the impact being not so much as senior levels. Plus, to add to this was a survey which was done almost 3 months back, and that was a peak time when the lockdown was in, and people were just inside their house and shut down, right? And post that, things have opened up, economy has opened up, and I'm sure opportunities and the percentage that you see here for graduates is much lesser in terms of the impact on hiring, and it has only improved from then onwards till now. So that's about the hiring scenario that we have in the industry, in the country. And now let's move to the different sectors and segments, what they have to say and what COVID has impacted in these sectors and segments. right? So first one, what you see is I have tried to highlight those which are important for you guys to understand and know, so that it gives you some kind of sense of direction and some kind of indicators in terms of what you can choose or what you can concentrate and where the opportunities are when you look for jobs. Right, so increased demand for artificial intelligence, robotics, Internet of Tools, IoT, which is very important for especially for electronic and mechanical engineers, and analytic professionals, as companies in core industry invest heavily on emerging technologies. So these are part of emerging technologies, and this will see a lot of importance in the coming future. Infrastructure advances such as smart city and metro projects have ensured that engineering and manufacturing functions have got good demand. Now, talking about hiring activity in these industries, chemical, engineering and construction, cement and FMCG have shown a big trend of hiring in the past in these sectors. And the skills that they look for is certification in health, safety and environment, certification in Six Sigma, black belt, project PMP skills and stuff like that. So this has been the trend in this industry. Now let's see what impact I have tried to connect to these different segments, different industry trends, and try to see what COVID has brought in. So when we're talking about manufacturing and process, daily needs and essential product companies with large will largely get stable in 3 to 6 months, depending on the supply chain pattern. Right. However, other manufacturing segments such as consumer electronic, comprising of say television, fridge, all your white goods section, will come to a standstill, unfortunately. Manufacturing and process industries has wide dependency on raw materials and supply chain, which gets procured in both in domestic and international markets. And lockdown strategy has impacted this business continuity in a big way. So unless and until we come out of the COVID situation, manufacturing process will be slightly impacted because of labor, supply chain issues. And when it comes to aviation and aerospace, it's a very unfortunate situation to be in. Plus, the recent tragedy in the country also has not really helped the aviation and aerospace industries. Again, next 2 months will be very difficult for these industries. People will not prefer to travel to holiday destinations. There will be restriction on business travel as well. International flights, tourism will have a tough time. There will not be people to fill the empty seats, and that will be a big challenge for these industries to run. And we already see and we are witnessing impact in these industries, right? Even after the lockdown, if the situation improves, I don't think there will be a lot of international travels happening because of government restrictions, health scare, and etc. So only silver lining for the aviation and aerospace would be because of the domestic logistic and supply chain challenges, and international supply chain challenges as well. The aerospace and aviation industry will have to look at, ferrying all those products and materials and stuff to make it much easy. So logistics will be an important thing that will come up, and the industry will slightly focus their attention towards those segments of logistics support rather than passenger support. So that's a change coming up in this segment. Again, power and energy also, and automobile also. I just tried to touch upon these two as well. When it comes to power and energy, it will continue to grow because of the focus that it is receiving, and global crude prices have only benefited countries like India. We can do good negotiation of prices, and this will help us improve our foreign currency saving and bring about a positive advantage on downstream and retail companies than upstream companies. And India as a country has got a lot of downstream companies, which is much closer to the consumers rather than the upstream ones, which is very far and few. You have ONGC and Indian oil kind of refineries which are there. But most of it that we have is, downstream, and that will benefit us in a long run. And this industry is pretty comfortably placed that way if you look at it. However, automobile is taken a big beating. in this segment, in this industry, right? Because of COVID, it's definitely going to go through a slowdown. There are no big players out there, Indian players out there, who are trying to introduce new car segment, new two-wheeler segments. They are all waiting and watching. Only those companies which are getting in are those like Escorts, Ashok Leyland, which are into commercial stuff, logistic vehicles, tractors, farm equipments and stuff. So these are the companies which will benefit. Otherwise, by and large, automobile is taken a beating, and it will continue for a couple of quarters easily. It's a good time to buy new cars actually, because this segment, these industries will give a lot of offers in the coming few months to ensure that there is some kind of sales happening there. So that's about the automobile industries. That's about engineering sector. Now let's move into healthcare and life science. I've tried to highlight two important things here. As pharmaceutical and medical device companies ramp up their consumer strategy, demand in talent with business to consumer experience will increase. This is more to do with sales and marketing professionals in this space, where they get the product directly to customer from the business. B2C will see a lot of prominence, and there's a lot of investment happening, not just in pharmaceutical medicinal stuff, but medical device as well. So that's an opportunity area which will grow definitely. Firms are interested to develop biologics as well. And now it's just not enough if you create medicinal products in the lab. They're planning to come out, and biologics is more in terms of creating those medicines with the bacteria and virus related stuff, and that's going to be as we talk, that's happening. Research is done in a big way in this segment, and that will only increase. And when we look at functions which are most actively hiring, environment, health and safety for sure, because of government norms that we have. Quality and R&D, big one. As I told you, nobody has invested as much as that they're doing at this point in time in quality and R&D. So that's an opportunity area for all of you guys to tap. Sales and marketing is another big one for you to tap and look for opportunities in this sector. Trending skills, sales again, and then digital marketing analytics. And digital marketing and analytics cut through most of the sectors. Supply chain and consumer service as well is one of the important skills that is trending in these sectors. Now, looking at the impact, life science and healthcare, this industry has received a blessing in disguise, to be precise. Medical consumable products, clinical research and development, and medical equipments, and most importantly, public healthcare will be in high demand. This will expand the horizon of large corporates to explore various opportunities under medical and healthcare space. Since this industry will rise in demand of talent, hence they need to enhance their capacity in varied skills through hire and train model. So this is an opportunity when it comes to hire and train model, because they will look at getting freshers maybe, or millennials maybe, and hire them and then invest on them in technologies which is for the future. So getting into these industry segment will be a lot beneficial, and you will be built for success, because it is sure shot that health science and healthcare will succeed in future, because there is a lot of focus across the globe on this segment, and India is pretty comfortably placed, because we are almost there as a number one player globally when it comes to pharma and medicinal healthcare stuff, right? When it comes to bulk manufacturing and production as well, India has a lot of advantage, right? So it's a good industry to get in as well. Investment in pharma and healthcare industry will be substantially increased by domestic and global players, and this will be a boost across all companies, including the small, mid-scale enterprises as well, even micro enterprise as well. When it comes to agro business, the impact of coronavirus entered India when the season for agriculture was not at its peak. So minimum impact is expected of this outbreak in this industry segment. Modernization and technological advancement in agricultural practices will create a wave. Lot of segments like farming equipments and machinery, pesticides, fertilizers, agrochemical subsectors will report a subtle continuity. And an impact will be seen in food processing industry because of manufacturing slowdown, migration of skilled manpower, transport and logistic disruption, and stuff like that. There will be a small set of impact in this particular sector, mostly because of human resource, right? So that's about healthcare sector. Now coming to property and construction, here what you see is a high demand for engineering background with a MBA degree from a tier one sector and segment kind of stuff. And they are looking at the trend is more. I think this second point is slightly impacted in a big way as well when it comes to luxury real estate and luxury hotel experience. Cross-industry hiring is prevalent for functions related to strategic planning and sales with consulting and wealth management experience, of course, when it comes to property and stuff. Now, the function that is hiring big time here in this space is sales and marketing, business development. So because it is more to do with property and construction stuff, there is a lot of sales and marketing kind of opportunities available. And of course, construction, because of challenges, that there is a problem there. But however, there will be a trend which will continue in these segments. Now, looking at skills, project management skills, corporate planning and strategy, business development, land acquisition was predominantly high in these segments. Now, looking at the impact what COVID had, when it comes to industry, this industry will report, when it comes to infrastructure, this industry will report a moderate growth. But in a very effective segment to create rural employment through infrastructure development, that will still see some opportunities coming in when it comes to infrastructure development in rural segment. And the investment diversion from China to India can bring a boom to this industry, wherein companies will be inclined to set up their manufacturing base as part of business continuity plan in India. So that's again a boon in disguise that is coming India's way. However, current scenario of infrastructure will be muted for some period of time till it starts picking up. Maybe another couple of quarters, it should do fine. When it comes to mining and metals, this industry will remain very stable because of government intervention, because of the nature of this industry. It may not have a direct consumer impact because it has domestic consumption and export. Since certain products of mining and metal fall under the essential category, the government will ensure that there is good demand and continuity, business continuity there. However, a disruption is witnessed here because of the lockdown and the workers migrated to their hometowns and stuff. So that's about property and construction. Procurement and supply chain. Again, this is an industry which is of high demand, and they're looking at this is a sector which is in high demand because now supply chain has taken a different shape altogether, right? People are not looking at buying everything from China or one particular country globally. There is no centralization. So supply chain, procurement of products and services will be important for any country or any government. So this will have a lot of focus. Active hiring industry in this segment is consumer goods, industrial and manufacturing, and logistics and transport. Trending skills, planning, customer service, procurement, and sourcing. Now, when it comes, I try to match with this sector, these two industries. When it comes to retail and e-commerce, retailing is impacted and hiring will remain slow for at least another 2 quarters. People are not going to shops to buy stuff, big shops in malls and stuff. Nothing of that sort is happening. However, e-commerce will grow where users will, who were not part of the online buying system, will also come on board. So many of you would have experienced that. You would have now, or your friends, parents, relatives would have started browsing and looking for stuff to buy online. Right? Plus, digital payment tools and getaways will see a brighter future until people gain confidence to go out and buy stuff on purchase from shops, right? Because of this, apparels and textile industry, large infrastructure retail houses, large departmental stores, all have taken a beating, and they are all waiting and watching the market, the economical situation, the overall situation in general to open up and start their business. right? So that's something to do with retail and e-commerce. When it comes to consumer and service, consumer electronic products, laptops, and all your office equipments. And HP luckily is well positioned in this space because the demand for laptops, computers have gone up the roof, right? So that's a great opportunity for consumers and service. However, entertainment and television industry will witness a mixed response, right? One side, there is a lot of demand for there's a boost in high viewership when it comes to online streaming, but when it comes to cinemas, theaters, gaming centers, restaurant and cafes, all these have taken a major setback. So that's a challenge. Food and beverage section has taken a setback unless they get into online delivery no system. Otherwise, they'll take a beating as well. And again, online gaming sector, which is not very prominent in India, but very, very huge billion-dollar industry it is in European market and US market, and of late, this and China as well, right? So of late, you would have seen young millennials like you were more into gaming industry as well, online gaming sector as well, and a lot of opportunities will be coming in this sector in the future. Right, so that's about procurement and supply chain. Let's talk about technology, where you are more interested as well. So when it comes to technology, I think I'll be repeating these things. Corporates are investing on increasing digital transformation related roles. What does it mean? It means that they want jobs that is done by, entry-level data entry jobs, simple mundane jobs, processing certain things and stuff like that to be done, to be digitalized. What it means is demand for robotic process automation, RPA developers. These things will kick in big time when it comes to technology and its trend. Startups are aiming to attract the high caliber talent in product and engineering. What does it mean? It means full stack developers. Right, full stack developers will have great opportunities in future because they want end-to-end of any product to be designed by an engineer, right? And most active hiring industry in this space is e-commerce, of course, consumer technology as well. The technology that brings the consumer closer, right? Those technologies as well. Financial technology, financial services, enterprise, and software as a service, the SaaS industry as well. All your Google Play Store apps, so these are the industries which will hire technology in a big way. Trending skills, security engineering, cybersecurity, and network security and stuff like that. Product development, full stack developers, end-to-end development jobs, right? And then digitalization, right? Digitization is again RPAs and related roles around digitization. So these things will be in these things were trending. Now let's see what has happened to these industries when it comes. And I have tried to align information technology and telecommunication under this space. So when it comes to information technology, ITES and KPOs is already an active industry in Indian economics, right? And the lockdown and work from home has increased the dependency on KPOs and ITES companies. ITES will now invest in technology and shall innovate, thereby making 60 to 70% employees work from home permanently. So that's a big win, and that's a big opportunity as well, because they just can't announce and tell people that, okay, you work from home going forward. They have to enable and ensure that the logistics that is required, the systems, the devices, the networks, all those that are required for them to deliver their job and do their stuff at home from home easily is enabled. And that's an opportunity for investment for so many other companies into this technology space. Right? Technology will be most needed to address the impact and future business continuity plan. So the demand for diverse skills are expected to come in this industry. Diverse skills. We are not even knowing those skills and technologies. Maybe the ones which will be in big demand in another 5 years down the line, we are not even talking about those skills and technologies at the moment. That's how the situation is when it comes to information and technology space. When it comes to telecommunication, this industry witnessed an immediate upscale as mass transition towards work from home had emerged. enhanced demand of network equipment and service providers has been observed. The industry has reported 10% raise in internet and related service usage by the consumers. Business are showing high value reliability, not just in terms of internet, but mobile based connectivity as well. So you would have realized of late, the service providers have ensured that there is no drop in the calls, the data is pretty strong or is sustainable. Of course, lockdown had a little bit of challenge, but otherwise they are ensuring that they are up to the task, because that talks about the industry, that company as well. So there is a lot of focus there, and that's benefited consumer as well and this industry as well. Data consumption section has seen an upward trend where not only corporates but media service providers like Netflix and other users have a huge contribution in this space. So there is definitely an opportunity in technology space, a lot of positives to look at as well. Great situation to be for all of you who are connected to technology, right? Another two aspects where I'm not talking about the impact, we have spoken enough, but I thought these two skills and sectors are important for us to discuss: sales and marketing, digital and analytics. When it comes to sales and marketing, these both this segment cut through all the industries. This is required in all the industry segments. That's why I've just kept it together and not talking about the overall impact. When it comes to sales and marketing, marketing managers with a mix of traditional and consumer technology experience, their hiring is trending. When it comes to active hiring function in this segment, FMCG, especially the new age FMCGs, your Patanjali's, your other small companies who are doing pretty well, Licious and other segments are doing a lot of hiring there. Medical device function, big time hiring will happen in this function for sure. Education technology, again, big time hiring will happen in this segment, in this function for sales and marketing guys. Trending skills, renewable energy sales is one trending skills. Technical sales professionals in education and logistics sectors, that will be another demand that will come up big time. Sales development and go-to-market experience in consumer sector, which has always been there in Indian industry and will significantly grow from now onwards. When it comes to digital and analytics, hiring trend we're talking about is seeing demand in analytical talent. I spoke about AI and stuff. Great demand. This is the platform to be actually. Right now, the market is pretty hot, and India doesn't have enough number of people. There's dearth of required talent in this particular space, and entire globe is looking at India as a provider for this talent. So this is actually a space to be in as well. When it comes to high demand for professionals with niche experience as computer vision, natural language processing, and speech analytics. All the analytics that people do, looking at images, listening to your customer calls, all these skills, which is very niche within the analytics space, will be in huge demand. The industries that hire in this space, again, the same set of industries right now, but again, this will change over a couple of quarters. The whole landscape will change, and all the industries will be looking at digital and analytical profiles. Right now, e-commerce, consumer technologies, financial technologies, enterprise, and small scale industries and stuff are looking for these skills. And the trending skills are machine learning, data science, user interface, and user experience. So these are the skills that are looked at in the market currently. Right, so a lot of opportunities, guys, and that's how the current job condition is as well. So quickly, I think I have another 7 minutes before I'll stop and open up for Q&A. It's not just important if you understand what's happened to the job and the market condition or the industry, right? It's important we understand what's happened to the work, the way we work as well. And I will not go in detail. I'll run through. This is like a story of Laila. I just put it that way for you to understand and relate to what might happen when you explore the Indian market, or for that matter, global market here. So 2020 lockdown started and she was at home, and it is 2025 and she still continues to be at home. Right? She goes to office at 7 o'clock in the morning, and she goes to office only, and those days are called as office days. Only those days when she has meeting, she goes to office. Otherwise, she doesn't go to office. She works from home. And the office also is different now. It is not that there are many cubicles together and people are sitting together and working. That scenario is gone out of the park. Right, that will not happen. The office would have been refurbished, and it will be more spacious. It will look like a nice hotel that you have come in, and more attention the employer will give towards the health and safety of the employees that are coming in. Right, so as she enters the office, there is no need to show your ID badge to the security and then enter with a swipe. There is a sensor, there is a temperature check, there is a face sensor that will happen, and your sanitizer will be like just like a thing. Those are gone. They used to get time. Now the organization will ensure that in each lift there is only 2 people or not more than that, right? That's the level of change, and that's the level of focus employer will put on their employees' health and safety is what I want to say here, right? When she sits and works also, she'll hardly find colleagues very next to her and close to her to talk and spend some time. So that's also going to happen unless and until we announce that we have killed COVID completely, which I hope is going to happen, but might be or may not be, right? So that's the situation, and just giving you a flavor of what is ahead. And I'll quickly move ahead. We are talking about stuff which is microbial, which employers will invest on. ACs with UVs so that the germs are killed. Office with a lot of plants in it. And then the meeting rooms are going to be very big meeting rooms, which will ensure that there is enough social distancing. And then Laila finishes her work by 4 o'clock in the evening and goes back home. And then home is not going to look like the same home in future, especially for ITES, KPOs, IT companies. A lot of us will be working from home, and there will be dedicated space for us, which we call as home office. And we'll be doing a lot of stuff for our healthcare as well when we start and continue to work in future. And that's definitely going to happen. Of course, not everything will change, and not everything will change immediately. It will take its own time. Not everybody can afford to change as well the way I am talking right now. So it will be a gradual journey. Over a period of time, you will see these things kicking in. The reason is financial pressure. Every company is looking at this as an opportunity. Why to spend so much on infrastructure? Why to spend so much on office buildings? When employees are comfortable now sitting at home and working. We always thought that working from home will kill productivity. But I start my job at 9:30 in the morning, and then I continue without moving my butt out of my seat till night 8 o'clock, which means I'm clocking in 11 hours. 3 hours, which used to go in the traffic, is at home. I don't take breaks. I don't go for I don't take lunch break. Sometimes I sit at my chair and eat my stuff. Right? So that's how the productivity actually has increased. Though this is an eye opener for every other industry, every other employer. They think that you can do wonderfully well sitting at home. So why don't invest there and then save money for the company? Right now, to survive, you need to save costs. So that's an opportunity as well. Shifting away from the city definitely will happen. You would want to buy a big house outside of the city where it is lesser and cheaper, and have a one room separate for office, right? Making the homework and then raising of the touchless technology will be coming up. This is just a glimpse of what I want to show you in terms of how the job is going to look like in the future. Now, you'll be starting to think of work from home. Okay, which sectors you will see as working from home? These are those job functions as per the survey done in the US that will continue to work from home. HR, product management, marketing, finance, IT will continue. More than 80% of them will continue to work from home. The message what I want to give here is, you see even military and protection services, security witches, and operations, healthcare services, 50% are telling work from home, which means that in a week, you need to come to office maybe 2 or 3 days. And then 2 days you work from home. And this is in, and this is serious. And this will happen in future. And that's what the message I want to give you. And then before I close and take up questions, 2 interesting data to show you guys. This is again from a survey done of the CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies. Listen to what they had to say. When will economic activity return to the level it was before the pandemic? 50% have told Q1 of 2022. Okay, like how it will return back to normal. So whole of 2021 is, right now we are talking about survival actually, not recovery. Whole of 2021 will be recovery phase. And then 2022 will be business as usual. business is normal. That's what they're talking about, right? And this is coming from CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. So we need to be prepared for this particular challenge that is coming our way ahead of us, right? When will at least 90% of employees return to their usual workplace? The question itself, 10% is knocked off, because the person who is asking the question knows, the Fortune magazine knows that 10% is sure shot going to work from home. And look at that, 26% of them are saying that they will never come back to home. So the 10% and 26% put together, 36% of the CEOs are telling the employees will never come back to office and they'll continue to work from home. And that's the trend that is happening. When will business travel at your company return to the level it was before the pandemic? 51% said never. So business travel will never happen. This is very unfortunate for those guys who are coming out of college, who had dreams of visiting Europe and US for a week at least or two in the cost of company and spending and looking at those places. Unfortunately, this might happen over a long period of time. Maybe once you come with a lot of experience, but this has taken a back step for sure. The overseas dream has taken a back step for sure. With the current, challenges with visa, US putting a lot of restriction and stuff, we don't know how well those things will open up and provide opportunities. So that's something as a dampener. The travel, and that's why the travel industry is taking a beating as well. Good thing again, silver lining is how have you laid off or furloughed workers in response to the crisis? Almost 55% of the CEOs said never. They have not done so far. Having said that, it doesn't mean that they will not do, because the recovery is altogether a different one. Survival is a different thing because there's emotional connect as well. There is employer-employee bonding as well. And maybe they're conscious of the fact that they need to support the employees during this challenging situation as well. But the good sign is 55% of them have told that they're never laid off, and few others have told is a little small percentage of it, right? And this is going to be my last slide before I open up for questions. After the pandemic passes, how will the world have changed? So you see the black and the gray ones are saying strongly agree. And that is under business travel will become less frequent, and they strongly agree about it. Nationalism will rise and global supply chain will become less common. They agree to that as well. No more global supply chain, no more depending on one particular country. And India stands in a very, very advantageous position because of this feedback. And just that, we need to stand up and be ready to embrace the changes, right? And then when it comes to government surveillance techniques, will become more common worldwide. Every other country will look at not just internally what is happening, but will be mindful of the fact what is happening outside of their country as well. That government surveillance will increase. And China, whether it will become a superpower in the world, not many agree to that. So that's a good sign, and that's an opportunity for India. Now, the last one, which is an opportunity for you guys as students, is what you have to make note of. At my company, this crisis will have what effect on pace of technological transformation? 94% of them have told it will be same, or 75% has told that it will accelerate. And you guys, as the students coming out, will have a big, big role to play in this technological transformation. This is a great time for you to be in this particular era, in this particular time zone, in this particular situation. Only thing what you have to keep in mind is question yourself whether you are ready for this technological transformation. Outside of what you have learned as part of your curriculum, what are the skill sets have you equipped yourself to be technologically prepared and ready? Ask yourself that question, because when the companies come knocking at your doors, you should be able to open the X factor in you, that factor which is close to technology. So that is where you need to invest. Of course, your professors and lecturers would have invested a lot on you already and made you well equipped to be prepared for those technologies. If they've already made, sharpen those axes, ensure that you don't falter when questions are asked. Be yourself prepared in those space, in whatever is your stream, and then be ready when the opportunities come. Keep in mind, you have already seen the numbers that have dropped. Opportunities maybe in the past might have come twice or thrice. Now, this time, opportunities may come once. and it may not come immediate. It might take time as well. So as it takes time, you ensure that you don't waste your time. You prepare yourself, sharpen your axe. With that message, I want to stop my presentation here, and I'll open it up for Q&A.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful session.
Welcome.
Now we'll move on to the Q&A session. There are few questions. The first question is, what is the scope for fresh BE graduates in the present job scenario?
Yeah. So you saw the percentage that I have called out, right? The fresh BE graduates of 2020 is facing a situation which no other fresh graduates in the past few decades have faced. So let us be prepared to embrace this situation and challenge. That's for sure, right? But as I told you, the opportunities that is going to come, it's just that there is a pause button pressed now, right? In a very short time, it will be opened up, or slowly it will open up. And when it opens up, very few organizations will start talking the traditional skill sets and the language or the message that they were conveying in the past. They will look at new things. Many organizations which we know will come out aggressively looking at technologies differently. I've called out already many different technologies, right? So if you are equipping yourself with those technologies, and you do your research. I mean, I have done my best to cover as much as possible, but you can do your research, and Google is out there for you to browse and figure out what are those technology maybe connected to your space, or already whatever you have invested in those space as well. We ensure that you are up for that. Technologies of the future is what is going to be in demand for sure. And if you are up for that and if you are ready for it, opportunities will be there. It is definitely reduced from what it was in the past, but in the near future, you will see a boom coming, a big time growth coming. And especially in India scenario, India is at a very, very good advantageous position, because all those companies who were reluctant to outsource in the past, and right, India is an outsourcing hub. All those companies who were reluctant to outsource in the past, be it was in Europe or in US, have now realized that they did not call people to office and make them do work. Everybody has done this job sitting at home. Now suddenly it has opened up an eye for them, and they now realize that they can outsource it, as far as India as well. And India is in a very, very advantageous position because of a cost. One intern hired in US, against that intern, we can easily hire 5 interns in India, right? That's the cost advantage we have, and that's an opportunity as well. Hope I answered your question.
There's one more question. What is your advice to the present students regarding the selection of job-oriented courses?
So my suggestion is, see, look, I can't suggest and say, take up the job-oriented courses, because not everybody's situation is the same, right? Some would want to be employed because of the socio-economic condition that they are in. Some would want to continue and pursue higher studies. Some would can afford to strike a balance between both, higher studies, but socio-economic is also same. So it depends on person to person. This is not to be quoted as a blanket go forward practice that you need to follow, but getting opportunities will be a challenge this year for sure, right? So you may spend 1 month, 3 months, 6 months hunting for jobs, right? So at that point in time, it is important that you sharpen your axe, you sharpen your skill sets in whatever relevant fields you are in, and whatever added technology that can be attached to those fields. Well and good. You can do your homework, you can ask your professors, guides, you can browse yourself to understand what are those skills and technology that can be add on to whatever course, whatever education stream that you have taken currently. And instead of wasting time hunting for job or waiting to get a call, I think you can go ahead and invest some time on maybe course which is paid course, or there are a lot of courses out there in YouTube channels, in the Google, in different networks available. Most of it is online nowadays. So, go attend those, listen to those, practice, learn, build yourself. I think that's the best opportunities. And nothing works better than learning in groups, learning together. So form groups, Chota groups with like-minded friends who want to, concentrate on particular skills or technologies. Come together, invest if you want to, share the knowledge. The more you share the knowledge, help others as well learn. So I would recommend, based on your situation at home, around your surroundings, take a call on that. But do not waste time just looking for jobs and opportunities, because that will be far and few.
Okay, sir. There's a next question. What are the trending job opportunities in IT field?
I've already spoken so much. I think the question was asked before I showed that slide. But by and large, again, I will repeat. It's not just HP scenario, but by and large, digitization is trending. Digitization is trending. SaaS, software as a service, right? So many startups will come up, and India is a hub for startup as well, right? Of course, startup will have that risk of job security, which is always there, but nothing like learning being in startup, right? You may end up working 12 hours, but as a fresher, if you end up in that setup, your learning will be double than any other person who has joined a big company like HP. So that's the opportunity that is there as well. From a technology perspective, I do not want to call out a particular skill, because then everybody will rush to that, telling, hey, this guy told, let's go invest. I will recommend you to make your own study, because it is all linked to what you have invested in the last 4 years in that particular stream. So be wise, think of a technology which will supplement whatever you have learned, and then there is an opportunity in those industries as well. Be it analytics. Analytics is quite in demand, and that cuts through all industries. Your Python, your machine learning, all other applications related to analytics is one of the skills that you may have, right? And there are n number of technologies which are there in analytics space. RPAs, full stack developers. It's not easy for a fresher to build those skills, but you'll have to have that back of your mind, and you'll have to groom yourself to get into such profiles. But having called out these technologies, there are many out there. I'm calling it out with reference to HP only, but HP is R&D and an IT firm. But there are so many other companies which are in different streams. They will have different set of technology requirements. So you do your research and get into those as well. Yep.
Okay, sir. The next question is, what do you expect from a job seeker while conducting interviews?
We don't expect any rocket science from a job seeker when we conduct interviews. Most of the time when I talk to students, I tell one particular thing. They should have some kind of skill. They should have some kind of knowledge, and both skill and knowledge, they should be very confident. And the most important thing is the attitude, right? So they can't be there without any skill. They can't be there without any knowledge, but they can't be there with a bad attitude, right? So attitude is something which you can't fake as well, right? And when you do interviews, and when you look at anyone and see their response, their body language, you read it through, right? You read it through. When they respond certain things, you read their attitude, you get to know their attitude. So that can't be built over a period of time as well. So invest a lot on values, invest a lot on being a good person, be helpful, be of a good natured, be a good natured human being, and that will help you go a long way. But of course, having said that, just attitude with a positive attitude, with a good heart will not get you jobs. You need to have the right skill and knowledge. And over a period of time, as you grow in your company as well, keep asking yourself, which is important, skill, knowledge, or attitude, and you'll never get an answer. So all these things has to go hand in hand and continue to do that.
Okay, sir. One last question. How is HP different than the other companies in the hiring process?
So HP is not different from other companies in hiring process. We have also freezed our hiring. There was a time when it was a total freeze for a couple of weeks, and then we opened up. We are hiring. Good thing what I want to say is, in fact, I'm in LinkedIn, and there are a lot of stories that comes, and then they tag me as well in LinkedIn. And these taggings are done by interns. We hired around 135 interns this year. And we were worried. We were very worried that we will not be able to convert those interns into regular employment in HP, because normally we convert 80% of them. And this year, in the beginning, when the lockdown kicked in, we realized that our conversion will be around 15%, which was bad, and we were quite worried. But as I'm talking now, our conversion is almost same like last year. So as the economy picked up, as the company started realizing the importance of the new technologies and stuff, our vision to open up the doors for those candidates whom we have invested, those students whom we have invested, has gone up. Plus, what we believe in is be very agile, be very liquid as well. So cost also plays a big role, and this is across industry as well. So investing at a low-cost resource is also important, right? And juniors, freshers, graduates is the best place to invest in that sense. So HP has done that, and we are happy to say that our interns, whoever has had their internship, is pretty happy because of the opportunities that they're getting. Of course, only the good ones will survive. There's no place for the average ones or the mediocre ones. But if you're good, then you will get absorbed in those companies where you're doing placement, your internship, right? So HP that way, we have done good justice to the entry level hiring, but our senior level hiring is pretty slow. But yes, senior level hiring, if I have to call out what are the opportunities that we have in the company, data scientists, RPA developers, full stack developers, these are the openings that we have for very senior seasoned guys.
Thank you, sir. We have come to the end of the Q&A session, as well as come to the end of the session. So the feedback link has been posted. I request the participants to kindly fill it. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Dilip Chandra for an eye-opener session on the current scenario, focusing on various fields. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
I like to thank the management of SJEC for their support in hosting this webinar. Heartfelt thanks to our HOD for encouraging us to come up with such informative sessions. Special thanks to Ms. Reshma KJ for coordinating the conduction of this webinar. Thanks to Mr. Ragesh Raju, Ms. Bhagya and the team for all their logistic support. Thanks to all the participants for actively participating in this webinar. Thank you one and all. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Thank you guys, to everyone. Bye.